Right, we're back. So, hmm, I wasn't expecting. Oh yeah, the turn, right. Pretty sure it was this top. Was it this top? No, further south. Right. Right, carnival. So, um, something I'm wondering. Yeah, okay, so that isn't really referenced as a tech anywhere, is it? Not really, not truly. Okay. Hmm, okay. Maybe further down the line, but, well, I guess it's a bit more relevant here than it is later on, so... There we go. With that settlement, the boot is now fully colonized coastline-wise. I might plop a city closer to the middle here. Maybe. Where are you? Over here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, since it is relevant to the time, I guess I might as well start talking a bit about psychology. So, psychology as a science has its origins in the, well, okay, it's actually really old because, of course, it is. Studying how people think is something that's actually fairly important for a lot of things. And being able to figure out why someone's acting really weird can be surprisingly helpful. Figuring out how to help them out and whatnot. Of course, there are only so many tools that can be used for the job, and, well, plenty of limitations thanks to other factors. But, yeah. However, as an actual proper science, it's not that old, especially for a science. Having tech in the, yeah, it's early 1900s, late 1800s, when that's around when the concept of treating, the mind as a special subset of medicine became popular, specifically with Freud. Yeah. In other words, treating people with mental illnesses as someone who needs some sort of extra assistance in order to get there. Not surprised that the prisoner didn't make it. That's fine. Okay, I need to figure out which city lost what building. Oh, the zoo burned down. Well, I was wondering why I could build a zoo. But that makes tons of sense. That's weird, I didn't immediately get a new free build. It doesn't matter. I mean, the idea that people can get sick in the head or have other um, quirks, I guess, is really old. And I do mean old. But the idea of studying the mind in order to see if you can help them or something is fairly new, all things considered. And scientifically studying the mind, yeah. I mean, Freud definitely wasn't doing a great job of that, but he was certainly doing better than anyone else that tried beforehand, so he gets credited as the founder of modern psychology. And that he wrote stuff down and didn't ascribe, you know, um, oddities to possessions by demons or the devil or whatnot. Which is, well, surprisingly good, considering how it can be. Okay, so I do want a modern offices in order to build that. Some of the other stuff, specifically the construction firm. 21 intent. Oh, jeez. Okay, I don't think anything else can outpace that. So just build modern offices so that you can get that through. Shoot. Alright, mine that. Alright, you can build that construction firm now. Which only gets 11 production because I think that the surveyor's office has already been built in the city. Okay. The IQ testing center, 3 and 6 turns. That's only 4 and 10. 4 and 8. Okay. Switchboard. You, and then you, and oh. Perhaps you even earlier, but not before the construction firm. Okay, and now for all the trade buildings. Emporium, commercial port. Oh, mathematics department, of course. Hotel, rail shipping, steel port. Cannery, you. Yep, okay. Yeah, yeah, just for reference. Oh, I probably should mine that tile. There we go, Einstein's laboratory. Just for reference, a lot of the alt history buildings do merge back eventually. That was just the fort over there. Yeah, that's not important. Sure, why not? Orchard. I believe that's the default, well, the default university built sound. However, any other amazing, oh. I have to build the atomium, don't I? Fine, go ahead and get that done. That, and this. Let's get the hot potato out of the way, because why not? And then food. Gondor. Yeah. Well, okay, so psychology is one of those sciences. It's a soft science, so experimentation can only go so far. You're never 100% certain of what actually is the case. You can draw generalizations, but people are special. They're all unique individuals that all have their own things going on. So you cannot perfectly predict what every person is going to do because people are, unique, have their own ideas on what is the correct thing to do in a situation. And that simply isn't something you can avoid. It's just the way people are. Everyone is special in their own specific way. And trying to figure something out like that applies equally to everyone, is not going to work. For a multitude of reasons. It's not really important. Why exactly? Simply because that's just how people are. Yeah, the interesting thing is that warfare is actually pretty old, as, well, Ripley said. Because, well, digging ditches is a great way to deal with cavalry. A horse is going to have a hard time dealing with a ditch. And doubly so for a random person walking around as well, if they're not paying attention. They run into a ditch, well, yeah. Modern trench infantry is different in that the trench works get so advanced, as well as the firepower of the enemy, that you can actually build things. Well, build, like quarters into the trenches themselves. Oh, great. I guess I'm going to have to deal with that. Oh, I can't use maneuvering 1 anymore. Nope. Great Hunter. Join the city. But beyond that, psychology is also a bit different in that, well, ethics is even more important than usual here. Like most sciences, you're going to have to deal with ethical concerns for one reason or another. Ah, okay. So the jade is just not valuable enough. The quarry actually doesn't provide as much. I see. Okay. I'm going to replace the forest here. Take out the old trees, bring in the new ones. But with psychology, it is actually even more important than usual to... Ooh, Sydney Opera House. That gets me free opera houses. In every city. You need a turn to heal. Oh, I could just dump a center of shark cities there. Nice. Expecting fishing pins is unlikely, so. Okay, let me get those two out of the way. It's Honyara. Alright, so you have some food buildings to get. Because after all, psychology is the study of the mind. And an excellent understanding of the mind is potentially dangerous in the wrong hands. I mean, I'm not saying that, we shouldn't study it in the first place. It's really important. But you need to be careful how you use the knowledge, because, well, let me just put it this way. If you understand exactly how the mind ticks, it's very easy to start manipulating large portions of the population. Scarily easy to do so. That turns into a marina, so. Ooh, the water treatment plant. Let's get that as well. Thoughts out balloon rides? That's a desalination plant. Yeah, sure. Art supply store for extra money, same as a daycare center. Beach is nice. Electrician's workshop. Mail order catalog. Tile has sugar. That is a lot of gold. Yeah, worth it. That amount of commerce is really going to help science. Yeah, production in the city. But yeah, being that, the thing is that the understanding of that does allow for a fairly large amount of manipulation potential. If, the knowledge is used immorally. And you can already see it with how the world is going right now. There are so many studies on how to make advertising more and more effective, how to improve engagement in media and whatnot, that we've kind of just started mechanically building a huge amount of attention demanding devices and media and whatnot that are trying to get your focus as much as possible to maximize the amount of, well, focus provided upon this piece of media, because, well, a lot of things on the internet, engagement is the point, because that way you can get something sellable, whether it is, in-app purchases or, just the advertisement trying to get you to buy something in the physical world, etc. There we go. Center for Shark Studies in La Paz. Yeah, it's scary how much there is there. How much effort gets put into these advertisements. This whole getting people to buy stuff. There's so much of it. And pretty much all commercially funded psychology goes into that, with a few exceptions. They do exist, but they're not as many as I would like them to be. I've never particularly liked the commercialization of science. It has issues. Tax office. I should build that in more cities, the tax office. If I remember to. That's the real problem with that. Okay, the construction firm gives me 20 production in, well, 9 turns, which outpaces everything else by far. So definitely build the modern office now. There's no point in building the herd pig because it's just gonna get replaced by the industrial farms soon enough. Soon-ish. Oh well. Fictional concepts of, what misuse psychology can do, such as, brainwashing. Yeah, that stuff doesn't happen. Brainwashing and whatnot, just, it doesn't happen. Contrary to some beliefs. Minds are really, really malleable, and the sort of things that you need to do in order for brainwashing to work, the mind is just too resilient, to put it simply. The mind just doesn't work like that. The brain is a complex thing that has so many moving parts to it. So actual brainwashing is impossible. Now, getting someone to be ludicrously devoted to a cause to the point where they're willing to sacrifice anything. That's possible. But forcibly brainwashing someone just doesn't work. Because the mind just doesn't work that way. Again, there are so many other things that can kind of work like that, but still. Okay, community garden. Yeah, anything more I'm gonna wait on. Even if not for very long. Okay, the engineering school is consistently an extremely good building. The levy? Nah. It's just not enough production within the city. Its outskirts. Yeah, this is one where I'm gonna have to wait on. Because I might get a bunch of improvements in the meantime that will severely shift the calculus on what is efficient and what isn't. But yeah. Psychology is, however, as I said, extremely interesting. There are so many aspects to it that you can look around at, try to figure out, and there's a lot of possibilities, interesting ones out there. For helping people, better understanding ourselves, etc. So many fascinating ideas and all that. It's just that the way it usually ends up getting used in modern society, I don't really like. But that's more of a function of how our current society is set up, not specifically psychology itself. It's just a science that, under the wrong circumstances, is way too easy to abuse. Way too easy. Okay. Bloodsmith is a good idea, but anything further, questionable. Okay, the construction firm is not down here, so it's over here. Yeah, 21 production in 9 turns. Okay, build that first. The Imperial Fortress is also a fairly good building with regards to efficiency. Quick workshop? Sure. That too. And then the wood-fired dynamo. Anything further, I'm going to wait on. Nice industrial farms. That should help the city grow quite rapidly. The ore refinery is fairly efficient, but I think I can get these faster. Maybe. The parts plant is probably a bit better. Same with the hydro plant. Okay. Then there's the levy, which I don't think is actually worth it just yet. There, okay. Forge. Steam crane. Maybe the traction engine workshop before the foundry. Where did it move to? Here. Foundry, steam crane. The construction firm will give me 15 production and 17 turns. Okay. Further production can wait until later. Yeah. It's just that there's a lot of extra potential for abuse because it is, after all, studying the mind. Similarly, you're gonna need to be careful with, first off, just be careful with research in general because you're messing with people's minds, and that's always a bit dangerous. I would say most people would not want to do irreversible damage, especially to themselves. And it is entirely possible that that can occur in the process. Huh. Wow, the mathematics department is now at 2 production because Einstein's laboratory gives scientists another 1. Neat. Okay, let's get those cheap field buildings out of the way too. Oh, I need to build a construction firm. Okay. How fast can it? Okay, yep. Yep. The tin smelter is probably still worth it, but I definitely need to build that modern offices before I build anything else. So I can get that construction firm done and dealt with. Honestly, in a way, it's a lot like ballistics, or, you know, other sciences that are directly involved in warfare. The knowledge can be extremely helpful and interesting in a lot of topics, but it can also be extremely dangerous. So perhaps think about what you're doing. When it comes to whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah. The mine should get the city more production.
Whoever said the pen is mightier than the sword obviously never encountered automatic weapons.
You would be surprised. I can certainly say that the internet is an extremely powerful structure that can do a lot. Okay, build fishing boats. But now Ethiopia is connected with Mononesia, which means I can go ahead and take the workers that have been sitting around here, all of which have basically been captured or whatnot. But always remember, at least one thing important. Misuse of technology should not, of knowledge or technology. The blame should not go to the person who discovered such things. The blame should go to the people that did a bang up job of using it in such an awful way. This should be obvious, and it really should be, but surprisingly often, it tends to end up being the other way around. Usually because the people who just misuse the stuff like that, yeah, they either get a pass or they're because, you know, they're rich and influential, so they can do these sorts of things without too many consequences. Blah. Let's get the seawall set up in the city. Definitely. Or, yeah. Or sometimes it's the best option out of a lot of bad options. Like the atomic bomb's a big one. So easy to misuse. The fact of the matter is that, you know, we could probably end all, you know, make the planet uninhabitable for ourselves through 10 people simultaneously making very, very bad decisions. Doesn't even, less than 10 people can, if they really wanted to, choose to end the world as we know it. To the point of being uninhabitable for humans. To put it simply, does this sound like a good thing to you? And that right there is one of the biggest problems when it comes to that. Nuclear weapons. There's just so much potential danger with them. Just from how they are. Just so much potential for danger. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to take the units that the military units that I had stored up around here somewhere. Yep, in this city. Okay, upgrade you to Great War Infantry. Merge the stacks together again, and wait a turn. I think it's time I started conquering those barbarian cities. Eastwards. Alright, time to mine that bauxite. It's already got good production, and it's going to have even more good production with that. Oh, animal trainer horse. Okay. I can get even more production. So our chariots here. The city. Okay. Goes the food production. Well, okay, let's build those market scales because of money. What's a new food? Build it that way. Gah. Potter's workshop. There's a pottery factory further down the line. Anatomy lab, philanthropic organization, adventures workshop, publisher, doctor's workshop. Da, da, da. Yeah, okay, give it a rest from there. The queue can only be so long before there's... Sit there. Great. I now need to produce 2 infantry, one for the new city and one for the other one. Okay. It is funny that my hunter can just run around conquering barbarian cities, though. Like, that's ridiculous. That such a thing is actually possible. Wait and see. If I get another, that infantry unit is built, I can just airlift it on over. No problem at all. Well, beyond the mild inconvenience, but it's a city. I can't exactly complain too much. No, complain I will, but not by as much. I forgot the seawalls again. I just saw them. I'm sure of it. There they are. Yep, there it is. Okay. Airlift in. Go back to hunting. Right. It's gonna take you 10 turns to get all the way over there. But that's fine. Oh no. Gotta keep an eye and see what building got destroyed. Now, sorry, lost its hydro. Oh no, not that. That's bad. So that means I need to rebuild it. Okay, you also need to build. Okay. Oh, sorry, lost its hydro plant. Oh, sorry, lost its hydro plant. I'm saying it over and over again in hopes of remembering while I find that monogram. Okay. Let me go between cities. Forgot where in the line Nosari is. That's what happens when you have so many cities. You forget which ones are which. There we are. Okay. Hydro plant. Build the traction engine workshop first because that one's actually faster. More efficient. Okay. There's plenty of cities from the looks of it that need to have their production queues worked on, so that's what I'm going to do. Construction firm. Right. Efficiency wise, is there anything noticeably impressive? Not really. No. Okay, time to build a bunch of the earlier buildings then. Yeah. I'll leave the rest of the queue for later. Alright, stay there. Okay, I've been preparing to have a city placed there for a while, so you're going to Pire. Flanking 3, immune to first strikes. 17 turns is just way too long. Maybe pick something else to do? Okay, construction firm. Just, okay. Seawalls. Joy. And the animal trainer horse. Potato. Scotch. Mink trap. Mud bath. Jump rope. Juggling. Laundry hut. Jade carver. I'm gonna save the rest for later. After all, I still need to build that chariot maker. Charioteer. The overlay does not help with the lag at all. Okay, are there any production buildings? No. Science buildings? I am not building that scenes for a while. Guess I can build some of this stuff. I do not need a repair dock in this city. I'll take the garrison though. Yeah, that's a few buildings. Okay. And then I can go back to building in infantry once I remember where exactly that sits. I feel like I would need to relearn this every single time I look at this screen. I'm very much not happy about it. That's a thug. It's a grenadier. It's a partisan. Okay, what the heck? Why can't I find it? Well, that's a war wheel. Oh, wow, you are expensive infantry. Infantry pioneer. The next type of settler is the jet, is the aircraft settler, but that requires like jets. So, right, you are to head here. What kind of movement cost production are you working on? Just rush past the mountain like it's nothing. Yeesh. Okay, engineering school. Gonna wait on that one. Or is something I'm not sure. Investigation. Start quarrying that marble. Alright, armored vehicles and then we'll attack after that, and then I'll call for a session. Guard. Tails, tails. Tails, just basic tail. Found a city here. Pago Pago. And it's not the only city that needs Q. Great. Okay, construction firm down here. That's 9 and 6 turns though. Based on that though, yeah, the numbers I'm seeing imply that it's still very much the best option. Okay. Mining camp. Always the best choice from here on out. For any of the early buildings, the mining camp is, from here on out, always the first one. Always. There may be exceptions down the line, but for the time being, I'd say not actually.
Who drives armored cars? People who expect gunfire. Usually, people with some firepower of their own.
Tanks and destroyers. Not again. Law firm has been destroyed. Okay, that's actually not that important. I can ignore it. It's just a law firm. Fine, I'll go ahead and... Well, okay, it's just a law firm, as I said. Oh, I can upgrade these to armored cars. Cool. I think I have the fire station unlocked, so... Yeah, that, and that. 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 so the seawalls are really going to help with building up the city. This is one of those cities where every tile of coast is being worked. The next tech is mechanized warfare. I'm just gonna go from the top down. It's not great for production, but it means I can turn that part of my brain off and just click everything. Go down in a row. Well, even more for the fact that I need to build the mills. I haven't got the granary built. Let's get that ocean unit too. Okay, Levy, Guild Hall, University. There really isn't that much production around here, is there? Industrial farms require a factory. Okay, so build the factory. It's efficient. It's easily one of the most efficient buildings there. If I haven't built the factory yet, I probably should. With the exception of this clay pit. Apparently there's enough production here to make it usable. Well, useful to build it. Take a turn to heal. You might need it. I'm not too worried about it taking a while. That's fine. Control it. Before I'm halfway through the age. So that I can spend the rest of the atomic era handling other stuff. Yeah, I'll just give you commando. It'll be funnier that way. Okay. Does the city have sea walls? It looks like it. These out of the way. Believe a veterinarian is further down. Mark camp. Taoist temple. Da-da. Almshouse, orphanage. Doctress, Caveman distillery. Let's get some of these in order to get a bunch more gold. There, with the new options unlocked, you are 50 production in 32 turns. I don't think there's anything faster than that. Like, even the clay pit is less efficient than this. Okay, the assembly plant is 60 production in 20 turns. Fine. And that's because the city has a fairly well-developed production sector, thanks to all the improvements doing their thing. And with those troops, I'm actually moving fairly early, so I can take my time, because my cities haven't caught up to that portion yet. Once they catch up, then if I haven't actually managed to get there, it will be problematic. But before then, it's really fine. The mall is consumerism. The sheer amount of subdued animals there. There's also 3 great farmers. I'm not sure what to do with those. Start destroying the forts there. I don't need those. I don't want those. They would get fairly annoying after a while, too. Okay, none of those, and just the Game Theory Research Center. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any seawalls. Okay. Traction Engine Workshop is ludicrously good. Apparently I haven't touched the city since I got steampunk. That's the best explanation I can think of for why it looks like this. Insofar as the construction queue is concerned. The missing buildings, I mean. Yeah. Oh, and I definitely need to build that. Modern offices and... Yep, there's the modern granary. Structure firm been built. It looks like it. Okay. Bus station? No, subway station. Maybe. Okay. You first. Well, it's 48 out of 48, which means that there's like a couple cities that can handle one of these. Yeah, which implies that it's unlikely that I can find a city. Relax. That has it, but not one of the... Okay. All the way over there. Yikes. Okay. What's her queue? Um... Yep. Mm-hmm. No. Uh, Yeah, this last part has been very quiet, hasn't it? Sorry about that. I wanted to talk about the ethical implications of misusing psychology, and it turns out there wasn't really all that much I could say about it. Oh well. Since a lot of it already felt pretty open and shut. Okay, has the... Nope. Get rid of your bodies. There's copper, no mine there. Yeah, okay, it's gone. It should fade away from... Well, the cultural stuff should fade away in the next couple hundred turns at the most. Surveyor's office. 6 production in 9 turns. Not great. But I don't exactly have a wide range of great options, so... Star power isn't good enough anyway. Okay, you. Excellent. Sure, let's put you in the front. As well as you. Simply from sheer construction speed. It's a good trade-off, so to speak. Then the requirements. That hand. Construction firm is still isn't good enough to really push for... Sure, university. Okay.
The best way to avoid warfare is if no one shows up.
Ah, the soldier strike. Yeah, that brings in modern level tanks. Light, medium, and heavy. As well as the Jeep. Also, if you have German culture, the unique unit Panzer is available. along with a few other unique cultural units. Battleships, heavy cruiser, and also the bazooka in order to deal with uh, said warfare. Yeah, advanced aviation's cool and all. I need jet propulsion for the aircraft settler though. Yep, there it is. City starts with 5 population, which is even better. And because it's an aircraft unit, you can just fly anywhere and I can plop a city there. Assuming that the tile is free, of course. That's the kicker on that. Modern physics also obsoletes the monastery, but I do get the standard model, which gives me a free physics lab in every city. Plus a proper laboratory building and an atomic clock. On the other hand, I do need to get through these techs eventually. I do need to research consumerism as well, if only to get the mall in order to replace quite a few buildings. As well as getting a few new stores in order to get more cash. Sadly, I can't get that pawn shop because, well, I can spawn a barbarian robber. Now, the shopping district, though. That's a replacement for the trading post. Then there's a supermarket which replaces the grocery and the market. At Bauhaus School. I need consumerism for modern art. Guerrilla warfare is important, but I need fascism and communism for that. I could go for agrochemicals next. Sure. Fine. I can't really think of anything better for the time being. Just agrochemicals. I can figure something more out next time. Do I really want to go down consumerism? Maybe. Fine. Go straight for modern art. After that, I don't know. Maybe go for rocketry? You know what, sure. Proper aviation give me an interesting amount of edge in combat. Keep moving, keep going. Mine the copper. Oh, please don't tell me that those were the only units. I would much prefer that were not the case. City does not need seawalls. There are quite a few very cheap buildings that I'm willing to build. Let me get those as well. Okay. It's a good long queue for high-low. What next? Levy. Guildhall is pretty good. I'm not actually sure what to do next. Um. Hmm. Not a lot of good options here. Okay. Just the Guildhall. I can figure something better out later. That's a sea otter. Fairly unusual. Okay, that's the badger. So, I've settled a city here and a city here. I'm going to need another one around here-ish to finish off this coastline. And then I'm going to need to start filling in here and start working my way over here. I've also accidentally captured Kumon. You can blame yet another, one of the hunters for that. But I have already sent troops to start prepping for the conquest of Nandwai, so. Although, for the moment, I'm working on getting rid of fortifications in the area because I don't need those. I don't want those. But yeah, once those are done, I can keep on handling this coastline and this coastline. I mean, filling in the coastline isn't is no longer really 100% the best option, maybe, because after all, I no longer need transports to send settlers from the capital over to here because I can do airlift, which saves, well, maybe not several turns, but a few turns at least. Well, I'm still dealing with potential barb issues. Oh well, there's only so much I can do. I'll probably plop a city right here in order to take advantage of the stuff here. And there's another one, well, not here, but maybe here, or perhaps here. I still want to settle next to river tiles. I've already explained why with the hydro plant. The hydro plant is just the start, though. Well, there's also bridges, but there's more to it than that. Later production buildings really need the river. At least a couple of really good ones, mainly power plants. Yeah. We're still in the start of the atomic era. Haven't gotten to anything particularly special. Jet propulsion's all the way over here, so I'm not taking that anytime soon, especially since say both of them take 12 turns. I would prefer to, for now, stick with the attacks that take like 10 turns or less. Especially since I'm still in the process of building up all of that stuff. I mean, I've got wonders to help, like the atomium's gonna get me even more science production, +1 production from scientists, and +1 science from engineers. That's a very nice one. Still gonna take 9 turns for Hangaroa to build it, though. I'm gonna need to build the gateway arch in Neonesia at some point. Plus, perhaps some of the other really cheap stuff that isn't likely to get obsoleted anytime soon. Like, I'm planning on building the Versailles over in Constantinople. It just feels right. You know what? After you're done with the Chop Shop and the Game Theory Research Lab, Versailles. Just for the second capital. There. It just feels right to give the conquered capitals secondary capital status. Is it efficient? No, not particularly. But it still just feels right. Like, I mean, distance from palaces, a quarter of this city's maintenance cost. I mean, there's also the issue of colonial expenses. Oh boy. Yeah, colonial expenses are a thing. Overseas cities get really expensive very easily, since they're considered colonies. I mean, I can keep up, but okay, not easily. My finances have not looked great for a long while. But I do have 3 million treasury, so 5,000 gold disappearing every turn. Can last a while. Maybe not a huge amount of time, but that's like 600 turns? 6,000. 600. 600 turns. Ah. Hmm. Well, I've been building a bunch of gold buildings, so I can hopefully deal with that. And once Persepolis is constructed enough to my liking, at least production-wise, I can work on it, I guess. Along here, and there's no river here anyway, so placement doesn't quite matter that much unless I try going for here, but that's gonna cause problems with reaching the tiles here. Besides, I'm gonna need a city somewhere around here. I may place it here or here. And I'm going to need more, city here, somewhere in here. Yeah. I gotta make sure every tile is lit up in order to minimize barbarians. So that then I don't have to worry about military at all. At least not on Earth. There's still the potential issue of the southern stuff here, but I'm wait until I have aircraft settlers. For now, my focus is on getting Mononesia settled, Neonesia settled. At least when it comes to expansion. Production-wise, it's the usual. Build as many production buildings as possible inside the city. Then focus on either food or science, which exactly doesn't really matter. And then start hacking away at the cheapest buildings if they aren't replaced by something. Though perhaps, yeah, I should perhaps build a couple of workboats. That's a good idea. In order to start dealing with naval infrastructure. Well, not naval infrastructure, but water improvements. Like lighthouses on reefs. Anyway, I've definitely gone on long enough. Yeesh. I'll see you again next time. Until then, bye.